Hi, I'm attorney John Cannon with Cannon Associates. Today I'm going to be speaking to you about the 10 ways to avoid an accident with the semi truck on the open roads. Before we get into those 10 tips, let's talk about a couple of important or concerning facts when it comes to semi truck accidents in the United States. There are over 400,000 truck accidents per year in the United States. In 2010 alone, there were 3,675 deaths as a result of semi-truck accidents. 529 of those deaths were of semi-truck drivers. 356 of those deaths were related to pedestrians or bikers, and the remaining 2,790 deaths were passenger vehicles that collided with semi-trucks. 9 out of 10 truck accidents involve passenger vehicles on the open roads. So, with that information, this is an important topic to discuss and do everything you can do to protect yourself and your family when you're on the open road. Or as a truck driver, what you can do to try and ensure that you're driving as safely as possible around passenger vehicles. One, it's important to avoid blind spots. Passenger vehicles are much smaller than semi trucks, obviously, and they're much more likely to be rear ended by semi trucks or run into a semi truck than another vehicle on the open roads. 1 in 3 fatal truck accidents occur for one of the four following reasons. One, being rear ending into a semi truck or going under the undercarriage. Two, braking too quickly or semi truck not noticing you're braking and rear ending a passenger vehicle. And 3 and 4, being sideswiped by a semi truck as it changes lanes. That's why it's so important to give yourself distance if you're falling behind a semi truck of at least 4 seconds to allow you the opportunity to stop. Why it's important to not linger in close area to semis so that you won't be rear-ended by one. And it's important to not linger on the sides of semi trucks that we'll get into in more detail in a moment because being sideswiped is one of the major causes of serious accidents with semi trucks in the United States and particularly Oklahoma. Two, it's important that you pass semi trucks with caution. Semi truck drivers have a difficult time seeing everything in their surrounding despite the numerous large mirrors that they have. Visibility along the right side of a semi truck is even more difficult than along the left side of a semi truck. That's why it's important if, say, for instance, my arm is a semi truck, that you pass along the left side of the vehicle as quickly as possible and safely because the left side of a semi truck along the driver's side they have better visibility on. Three, it's important to don't linger near a semi truck. As I spoke to a moment ago, there's a number of things outside the control of semi truck drivers that can lead to very serious accidents. One, tire blowouts. Semi trucks typically have 18 wheels and sometimes even more. They operate independently, and with wear and tear, they can explode. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have seen tire shreds on the interstates across the country. Those tire blowouts, when they happen, can be a very scary moment as the tire shreds from a semi truck vehicle moving at 60, 70, 80 miles an hour can be lethal if they strike your windshield. And it's happened many times that those have broken through windshields and caused serious, even fatal accidents outside the control of the semi truck driver or you. Two, high winds, especially in Oklahoma, the Great Plains with the open roads. There's lots of times where there's high winds, not only flowing with the traffic or against the traffic, but across traffic. And these high winds can cause semi truck trailers with their very tall, very wide trailers on the back to roll over when the wind pressure is too great. And if you are next to a semi truck during that rollover, it's very difficult to escape, and you could have that land on top of you, causing serious injury or death. Third, truck braking. Trucks take much longer to brake than passenger vehicles or smaller vehicles. For one, they weigh 80,000 pounds. And when you take any object that's 80,000 pounds and you put it down a lane or any direction, 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, it's much more difficult to stop. So if you were in front of a semi truck in a close distance and you were forced to brake, even if you were perfectly alert and you engage your brakes as quickly as possible, that semi truck does not have the ability to slow down and stop before running into you if you were too close. Also, it's important to not be too close to the rear of a semi truck, as even though you're braking, it's difficult with that size object to note or identify when it is braking. Even with the brake lights being illuminated, it seems like the object may be further away than it actually is, which sometimes causes vehicles to collide into the rear of a semi truck. And if this is the back of the trailer, your smaller car will go under the undercarriage, which can crumple the dash, even the windshield, and this causes fatal accidents as well. So, an important rule is to give yourself 4 seconds of distance in front of a semi truck to where it looks like it's far behind you, is a safe rule of thumb, and to give yourself 4 seconds of driving time between yourself and the vehicle in front of you. That leads to the fourth point to avoid accidents with semi trucks, commercial trucks on the open road. Don't cut off trucks. It's important to leave that buffer room. If you are passing a semi truck, remember on the left side, and you merge back into the lane, make sure that you do so with enough distance so that the truck will be able to brake if it needs to and not collide into you. Perception is one of the key factors as well. There are 3 steps in braking on a vehicle. First, there's perceiving the danger or noticing something that you need to take action and brake for. And so that's you're driving, maybe distracted, maybe looking down the road, and you perceive an object that's causing you to need to slow or stop your vehicle. 2 is the actual reaction distance. And that's not the reaction distance of slowing your car. That's from taking hopefully your right foot off of the accelerator, or if you're on cruise control, off of the floorboard of your vehicle and beginning to engage the brake. So we've got that we're looking down the road, we identify the threat, the perception distance. Second, the reaction distance of taking your foot and placing it on the brake. And third and finally is the braking distance, or the actual time and distance it takes for your vehicle or a semi truck to engage the brakes and slow a vehicle down. The scary thing about this is that national studies by the Department of Motor Vehicle Safety have shown that at a speed of 55 miles an hour, which is slower than most people are going down the interstate, especially in Oklahoma. When I drive, I see people, myself included, going much faster than 55 miles an hour. It takes a passenger vehicle, roughly 140 feet to stop from 55 miles an hour. Alternatively, a semi truck that's 80,000 pounds, 18 wheeler, it takes roughly 300 feet for them to stop. That's the length of a football field. Take a moment to let that sink in. So we have the perception distance, then the engagement distance or reaction distance, then the actual braking distance. As you can see, that distance to go from a vehicle traveling down the road to safely coming to a stop is getting longer and longer and longer. That's why giving yourself this buffer is so important with semi trucks. And again, that fourth point is don't cut truck drivers off. Fifth, allow space between the semi truck trailer and the curb. If you are on the outside lane and a semi truck is turning to the right, so in front of you, it's important that you not be in that space between the semi trailer and the curb. With any vehicle, I can't explain all the physics to you right now. We don't have time for one. Second, I don't know them. The rear axle of a vehicle travels a shorter distance than the front axle. So a car, say, is the size of my hand. As it turns, the rear axle travels less distance than the front axle. However, if you take a semi truck, say my hand is the cab of the truck and my forearm is the trailer, as it turns this direction, the trailer travels a much smaller distance and will easily cut off that space in the outside lane. That's why it's so important to not be in that area, because it's dangerous and many serious truck accidents happen, not only on interstates, but also on city streets and roads, based on the fact that these semi trucks trailer travels less distance and can merge into vehicles in that right or outside lane. Sixth, it's important to be patient. Be patient. You should not be driving with erratic behavior around semi trucks, cutting them off, weaving in and out of traffic, acting like you're going to pass and then moving back into your lane. As I said earlier, truck drivers are moving a much larger vehicle. It's more difficult to stop, it's more difficult to negotiate it, and it's more difficult to see things that are around them. 7, this really pertains to driving at nighttime, especially on interstates. And when you're along open road driving and you come upon vehicles, you may have had your high beams or your brights on. It's important that you turn those off well before you get to a semi truck as you're passing it. Keep in mind that studies show that the lights from your brights can blind a driver for 2 seconds or potentially longer. Think back to a time that you've been driving down the interstate or a road and someone's shine their bright lights into your vehicle. That moment or so that you cannot see is true for truck drivers as well. Keep in mind, they have very large mirrors on both sides of their cab, and they're very reflective. So if brights are shined into those lights, it will blind the semi-truck driver for a second or two. And a scary fact is that in that 2 seconds of blindness, a semi truck will travel over half the distance of a football field. So if you're passing a semi truck on the left with your brights turned on, say there's 4 seconds that they can't see based on that bright light coming in, that's the distance of a football field at least before that truck driver will be able to react to anything. And that's only at the low speed of 55 miles an hour. So semi-truck driving even faster, 65, 70, 75, 80 miles an hour, that has 2, 3, 4 seconds of road blindness, may travel a football field and a half without being able to see anything in front of them. That's why it's so important to not shine your brights into a semi-truck as you're passing or any other vehicle. 8, it's important that you signal sooner. Remember, semi-trucks take longer to react. So if you're going to pass in front of a semi truck, or if a semi truck is coming along your left side and you decide at the last moment to merge into that lane and accelerate, keep in mind it takes longer for them to react, and you should, as a safety precaution, give at least 3 seconds of reaction time, which is multiple lengths of a semi trailer, as we discussed before, that 4 seconds and roughly the length of a football field. You need to give at least that distance to allow the semi truck driver to react to you. 9, merge with care. Oftentimes people will be entering the interstate on a down slope and see a semi truck coming and they'll try and accelerate to pass that semi truck and merge in front of them on the highway. Not a safe move, not a smart move. You should merge with care, defer to those semi trucks, give them space, and then once you're on the interstate, once you've gotten onto that major thoroughfare, that's the time that you can take the steps to pass with care and give that buffer we discussed about before. And last but certainly not least, number 10, pay attention. One of the major causes of accidents on open roads and city streets is distracted driving. From the use of cell phones, whether it be looking at a call, taking an actual call, or as everyone is aware on this video, instant messaging or text messaging is a major cause of distracted driving. 2, reaching for items, whether you're looking down for your cup, whether you're reaching for the bag of chips or french fries from the lunch you just picked up on the road, uh, reacting to a passenger in the vehicle. All of these things can be serious distractions. And last but certainly not least, rubbernecking. If you see something that is of interest on the open road, people often turn to look and see what that is, and that can cause serious danger and threat of an accident with another semi truck. Interestingly enough, in 2010, the last major study on this point showed that 2 in 10 accidents on the road are caused by distracted driving. And even more concerning, 9 out of 10 fatal accidents are caused by distracted driving. So if there's anything you take away from this, keep your attention on the road. Try to have passengers of the vehicle hand you things or be the ones that are interacting with things going on in the car. If nothing else, it's a way to make your spouse or the passenger deal with the kids in the back as opposed to you as the driver. In conclusion, I hope this video, 10 tips to be safe on the open roads as a semi-truck driver or around semi-truck drivers, has been helpful to you. For more information on driving safely, how to avoid and how to respond to being in an accident with a semi-truck or a commercial truck, please visit our website, jpcannonlawfirm.com. Additionally, as you've seen during the course of this video, there's a button that's been at the bottom of the screen here that you can click and subscribe for more useful information and videos. We hope that you found this beneficial. Please feel free to subscribe to our channel for more useful information.